Welcome to Elemental Fun, a historical and cultural look of the elements of the periodic table. Hello and welcome to Elemental Fun. My name is Grace.
My name is Cindy.
And we are recording today at my house. So if you hear a baby crying in the background, that's Charlie.
It's true. It's not the one in my belly right now.
Which
can't.
we haven't
told that yet.
No. Our listeners don't know this, but Cindy is pregnant. Congratulations,
Yay,
Cindy.
Thank you. Having a little girl.
Yeah. Girls are fun. I promise.
I hope that she can play on her own a little bit more than my son can.
No promises.
Yeah. We'll find out. But it'll be nice to have one of each.
Yeah, it is
It's
fun
good.
to have one of each.
Mhm.
It is. It's kind of a neat experience. So.
Yeah. But that's the happy news. But today we're going to be talking about manganese. Manganese.
Yes.
Excuse you.
Manganese. The name manganese actually it comes from one of two origins.
That's right. Latin for magnus or magnet, which is kind of ironic because it's not actually magnetic unless it's in an alloy,
Exactly.
which we'll talk about later.
Or from the black magnesium oxide, Manganesia nigra, because for a long time they thought it was magnesium.
Because that's what I was wondering. I was like, why is it magnesium? Magnesium is a different element than manganese.
No, it wasn't until 1774 when Johann
Gottlieb
Gahn said, like, no, guys, this isn't just a form of magnesium. It's actually like its own element. And everyone's like, no, you're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, because everybody thought that it had iron in it.
Right.
And then he was like, oh, no. He made potassium permanganate.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the strongest oxidizing agents that's ever known,
Mm-hmm.
apparently. But did you know that? So he was in 1774. Oh, actually, no. That was Johann. There's so many Johanns.
So Sweden isn't really big on the map for discoveries of the periodic table, because usually it's Paris and it's England,
Right.
or it's just been around forever. But
Right.
there are a couple in there that are the Swedish scientists discovered.
That's one of these ones
And
are.
this is one of them. So
Yeah. So
we haven't heard of Johann very much in our previous
No.
episodes.
But now there's two Johanns.
Yes.
So there's in 1740 he was a Berlin glass technician,
Mhm.
and Johann Henrik Pott, and he showed that it didn't have iron in it as was thought, and he's the one who was able to make potassium permanganate. And then 1774, the guy we were talking about, who's
Johann.
credited, right? The other Johann.
Yeah.
Johann Gottlieb Gahn, was the first to isolate it from pyrrolysite,
Mhm.
which is magnesium dioxide. It's a lot easier to say actually than
Pyrrolysite.
Pyrrolysite. But pyrrolysite is actually a black ore, and so prehistoric people were known to use it because they
Mhm.
used that black ore in cave paintings.
Yeah.
So it's one of those
no,
ones that's been around for a long time.
No, it's actually the black manganese dioxide was used to paint the Great Hall of the Bulls, which is in those French caves that were painted over 30,000 years ago.
Right.
So like manganese has been involved in art for
A long time.
literally thousands, tens of thousands of years by people.
So it uses the pigment,
Yes.
and then in later times for glass, it actually removes the green color.
The pigment.
Yeah,
that's
which
in
is
the
weird.
glass.
Like, let's put this black thing in there to remove the pigment.
Right. No, we'll talk a
Yeah.
little bit more about that.
But there was
Also.
so he was the first to isolate it. But did you know that in 1771, a PhD student in Vienna, who is named Ignatius
What a great name.
Klum, he actually showed that he isolated it in his dissertation. So,
Mhm.
but he's not credited. I thought it was interesting that even though he did it earlier and he showed it in his dissertation, he's not credited for really discovering it. They do. I think they give it to the Johann
Yeah, they give it to
Gottlieb.
Johann
Mhm.
Gottlieb. Gone.
Wow.
And it wasn't actually accepted by the scientific community until 1807.
Mm.
So even though he was like, look, here it is,
They're like,
1774. And
"Yeah, I
they're
don't
like,
believe you.
I don't know. We'll think about
Scientists
it.
take some time sometimes to.
Well, they also
Fine.
were sending notes by swallow back then. So it took a while.
And in the 1st century AD, Pliny the Elder, a Roman philosopher. Did I say that wrong?
I don't know, but I want to call him Pliny,
Pliny?
the Elder.
It's Pliny. Pliny.
Pliny, I guess. I don't know.
He wrote that it was used in glass making to make it clear, even back then.
No, actually, it was the ancient Egyptians used it as well.
Mm.
The ancient Egyptians used. So let's see, where's my note? Here it is. To remove the pale greenish tint, which is caused by the iron that commonly occurs in glass, or in the sand that makes glass. The Egyptians called it sapo vaitiri, which means glass soap.
Huh.
They used it as like, this is my glass soap to clear up my glass. But
glass soap. I was like, I didn't get it.
yeah, like they use it to like clean the glass.
Okay, makes sense.
It's glass soap.
Right.
But if it's exposed to the radiation of sunlight, that glass that's been used with the manganese will turn purple.
Because the color in amethyst is from manganese.
Right. And so if they use the glass soap to clear out their glass and make it clear,
it then turns
once
purple.
it's exposed to the sunlight, the radiation in the sunlight, which it's actually because it causes the manganese oxide in the glass, and when that reaction happens, it turns the glass purple. So if you find glass that's purple, either in old antique bottles, or if you find any sea glass that's purple, you know that it was treated with manganese.
Interesting.
Isn't that fun?
And manganese oxide, because we'll talk about that quite a bit, actually is just basically manganese and oxygen.
Right. Anytime it says oxide, it just means it's with oxygen.
It's pretty good. So one thing is, just back to what magnesium is, it's a transition metal. So it's one of those in the middle of the periodic table. And transition metals they're basically like metal but not, kind of in the middle. So they're very ductile, they're very malleable, and they conduct electricity and heat really well. So what's interesting is that manganese is actually, you don't really find it as a pure metal in the world. And it's too brittle.
Yeah,
like
it's really it's too brittle as a pure metal. It does great as an alloy.
Exactly.
He's like, mix me with something.
And and what's interesting is it strengthens things. So it's mainly in steel.
Right.
So it's 1% manganese in steel. And that increases the strength and improves the workability and the resistance to wear. So it's kind of funny that it's ductile, malleable, and seemed like
very
softer.
brittle.
But if you put it very brittle, but you mix it with something and better together. They have manganese steel, which is 13% manganese, and this is very strong and used in railway tracks. Wow, I don't know what that word is.
You can't see me nodding
Safes.
my head. Yes.
Safes, rifle barrels, and prison bars.
Yeah, it helps
if you're behind
produce
prison
a hard,
bars,
more
manganese.
wear-resistant railway when they added manganese and carbon to the steel process. There was specific percentages that I didn't write down because I don't think our listeners care.
Well, maybe they're gonna have a quiz on it later. Did you know it's in your drink cans?
It's in my what?
Your drink cans.
Yes,
Yeah.
I do.
An alloy with aluminum and 1.5% manganese improves the resistance to corrosion. And if you combine manganese with aluminum, antimony, and copper, any one of those, they become highly magnetic. But again, by itself, it's not.
Manganese.
So this is the thing, right? With chemistry, when you have two things you put together, the new thing that you have is different properties than the things it had before. And even though alloys are not necessarily, you're not combining it into a new compound, but you're putting those two things together in a way that changes how they interact with the world. So it's pretty interesting. Let's see. They have, so we have, there's two different types of oxides.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's manganese 4 oxide and magnesium 2 oxide.
Oh, okay.
So there's different ions, basically.
Didn't they say that
metals.
manganese is one of the metals that can actually be in like 6 different forms of oxide?
It's possible.
or-
I'm not sure exactly, but many of the transition metals have more than one ion that they can, so that you can have a +4 manganese or a +2 manganese.
Interesting.
So, and then that changes how it combines with other things.
Mm-hmm.
So manganese 4 oxide, which means you have the manganese with the +4 ion, which has to do with the electrons and how many are there, is a catalyst, a rubber additive, decolorizes glass that is green due to the iron. Manganese sulfate is used in fungicides.
Yes.
Manganese 2 oxide is a powerful oxidizing agent and used in quantitative analysis. I don't really know what that is. Also in fertilizers and ceramics, and actually some manganese is used to reduce the octane rating in gas.
Huh.
Yeah. I didn't know that either.
It's a very useful element.
And it is. And super important in life.
Oh, yes, in the whole biology. Please talk about photosynthesis.
Super
and
cool.
how important manganese is in photosynthesis.
Is.
Talk to me, biologist.
Talk to me. So, manganese, if you didn't know, is essential for everything. Every living thing needs it. You never knew it, did you? But basically, there's a lot of enzymes that have that need manganese to work. Remember, enzymes are things that speed up. It's a biological catalyst, so it speeds up reactions. So the enzyme that is responsible for basically changing water into oxygen during photosynthesis has 4 atoms of manganese in it. So without manganese, photosynthesis would not possibly not happen, or at least not nearly as efficiently. And then the rest of life would not happen.
Well, good thing manganese is the 5th most abundant metal.
It's true in the Earth's crust.
Yeah.
Although again, not found by itself.
No.
Always as minerals.
It likes to mix with things.
Like pyrrolysite. So pyrrolysite is the magnesium oxide.
There's also rhodochrosite. Yep. Is another common
That's a magnesium
ore.
carbonate. Manganese carbonate, sorry.
But I thought this was so cool. How they have found metal-bearing nodules
in the ocean.
In the ocean.
I know.
Like, okay,
so cool.
I had to look up nodules because I'm like, what is that? It's basically a giant lump, a big rock lump. So in the bottom of the ocean, for thousands of miles at the bottom of the ocean, there are these big balls of
24% manganese.
Yes, 24% manganese. It's also mixed with nickel and
lots of other elements,
copper and other ones as well. And they just sit on the floor, but they don't get buried under the sediment that's constantly accumulating at the bottom of the ocean. And so so they actually tried to find a way to go down and like kind of mine it down there. And they were like, it's like quite a ways down in the ocean. It's not really commercially valuable to be able to do it. But they're the size of bowling balls.
A lot.
It's a big,
you just go pick it up.
Ball of manganese just sitting there, and like, why? I don't know.
Oh,
how?
random?
I don't know. But isn't that
is weird.
So
geology
strange.
Stuff is weird.
Geology is weird.
Yeah.
I love geology.
When rocks form and soil.
There's also been they've looked at old layers of sedimentary rock and seen that like the lower levels of manganese meant there was less oxygen in the ocean.
Yep. And in the air. They do that with the terrestrial stuff too. Yeah.
And I was like, well, how does manganese know there's not a lot of oxygen? Oh, because of photosynthesis. Important. But yeah, I just thought that was so cool. There's giant. If you get anything from this podcast, at the bottom of the ocean, there's thousands of miles of just like fields of bowling balls of manganese alloys
everywhere. You never know what you're going to find on the ocean.
I
mean, well, again, we know more about space than we do about the bottom of the ocean. So
there's
lots of stuff.
Dark and hard to get down there.
True. You know, that pressure is kind of tough.
I was going to say, so some cultural things about manganese.
I have more biology too.
Oh, do you want to go into biology first?
We finish off the biology first.
We were in biology. Let's stick there.
Let's do that. I just have a little bit more. So they add in soils. They usually found in soils, and so they will actually add it to fertilizers if the soil is low in manganese. And they give it as food supplements to grazing animals because it's so important in our bodies.
Right.
So in the human body, we have about 12 milligrams.
Right.
And we take in 4 milligrams a day. So this is one where we can't store it. We have to take it in every day in order to do it. and this was discovered kind of in the 1950s. I think we really realized the importance of all this. Is that we get it from things like nuts, bran, whole grain cereals, tea, parsley, spinach, rice, soybeans, eggs, green beans, oysters.
Oysters.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Who knew?
I knew about the spinach and the green beans.
Yeah, but without it, our bones get spongier
We also
and
can
break easier.
get obese if we're lacking.
So if we're lacking in it, so that's a
Yeah.
whole nother thing, because if you have too much or too little, you can go into that in just a second. It's a little crazy. So your bones get spongier and break easier, and it's essential for utilizing vitamin B1. So there's a lot of times where some things we need like cofactors or coenzymes, and that's what this likely is in that case, where you have to have it in order for that whole reaction to happen correctly. So that was pretty cool. So yeah, if you have actually diatoms, which are little photosynthetic plankton in the ocean, mollusks and sponges can actually store it.
Well, aren't they lucky?
They are special. And they think that it could be a treatment for osteoporosis, which makes sense, the spongier bones, right? Arthritis, PMS, diabetes, and epilepsy.
That's interesting
go ahead.
because. Oh, I want to go into culture, but I'm going to let you finish.
There's one more thing.
Okay.
So then the too much or too little thing we
Right.
were just talking about, right? So if you have too much, it can be toxic.
Right.
So it's one of those things where we definitely need it, but in these smaller doses, 4 milligrams a day, basically. But it's toxic. It will can cause hallucinations, forgetfulness, nerve damage, dullness, weak muscles, headache, and insomnia. May cause Parkinson's disease, lung embolisms, bronchitis, impotence, and schizophrenia.
So but there's a cultural thing with this.
Okay.
So,
but I think it's really funny that they said impotence in men.
Like
they had just specified that it was in men,
of course,
because women get impotence. Okay. So anyway.
Well, so here's the thing. In Victorian Britain, they used manganese as a cure for stinky breath.
Oh. So they were dosing people with manganese.
But not a good idea because, but
causes all the things.
But so miners were inhaling the dust.
Ooh.
And they were becoming sick with what they called manganese madness.
Oh.
Which is those things you're talking about.
Like hallucinations, yeah, right.
Parkinson's disease, neurological things.
Right.
But it's because they're inhaling it. When you inhale it, it went straight to the brain.
Oh.
Versus if you ingest
digesting
it,
it's
it
different.
actually gets I can't talk. Your metabolism breaks it down in the liver. So your liver can actually take care of it if you ingest
the liver is quite good.
The liver is awesome.
Very detoxifiers.
But if you inhale it, that's when, I'm sure if you ingested enough of it and your liver can't,
because your liver only can do so much,
But it's interesting that in the Victorian era, these miners were getting this thing that they actually
basically
called
getting high on it,
manganese madness, because they thought they were going insane.
Right.
When really it was just neurological damage done to their brain because they were inhaling too much manganese.
So that goes into another thing. So the you'll find it in us in bones, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and it actually helps form connective tissue, bones, blood clotting factors, and sex hormones. So that's where it has a variety of, which is why you could treat osteoporosis or possibly diabetes if you're talking about like pancreas and blood issues and things like that. But what was interesting about that is that some recent research in Bangladesh, and I was like, why are all these in Bangladesh? Interesting. It's apparently they're looking at groundwater issues that are there, and so they're looking at arsenic poisoning.
Right.
But along with that is manganese, and so they've done a bunch of research on manganese and child intellectual function. So and this is ingesting, not inhaling.
Right. Well,
so
if you ingest enough of it, it is going
right,
to
exactly. So this is like the other version of that, where it's not just direct and getting madness, but it's now. So there's a significant link between a variety of manganese markers and perceptual reasoning and memory skills. And as you increase exposure as children, you actually increase their behavioral problems up through age 10. So again, it has that, whether you inhale it or ingest it, can cause neurological damage. Right, which is what, on the toxic form was nerve damage.
Right.
Right, and that's neurological is a lot of nerves.
There's a whole lot of nerves
So.
going on in your brain.
Yeah. But if you have too little, you can become obese.
Right.
Glucose intolerance, because again, the pancreas thing.
Right.
Blood clotting issues, skin conditions, decreased cholesterol, skeletal disorders, again, neurological symptoms, hair changing color.
Hair changing color.
It's a pigment. I don't know.
Well, and it's funny because they used manganese as a pigment in colorization
Mhm.
in smelt. So it makes a nice blue smelt that is a bright. It's funny because it's like a bright green tinted blue.
Right, but the middle metal itself is brittle silvery metal.
Right.
And then it causes blue things.
Yeah, it can make like a greenish.
The computer just kind of blipped. I hit the microphone and the computer went, "Oh my god!" Sorry.
So and then when it is exposed to sunlight, the purple color of the amethyst is caused by manganese. I keep wanting to call it manganese.
I know it's and also the magnesium. I'm sure they have. Manganese has a lot of brother issues with magnesium because they just
I think
confused all the time.
manganese gets more annoyed because magnesium gets a lot more attention.
It's true.
Yeah.
I mean, nobody knows about manganese.
I know people are like,
everyone knows about magnesium. Yeah, you mean that one?
Yeah.
Well, anyways, MgMn. It's very confusing.
It's like all the states that start with M. You don't know which one
of
the initials are for what.
Something.
Words.
Yeah. Did you know that pure magnesium is reactive, burns in oxygen, rusts in water, and dissolves in dilute acids?
Yeah, they said it can actually. Yeah, I think when I was reading something, it said something how it could be in a state where it can just dissolve in water. It's kind of
varied.
wussy,
It's weird.
Yeah, it could survive at the bottom of the ocean. I don't.
Grace is very excited about that.
I'm really excited.
It's very interesting.
It's really interesting.
Well, but it's just like, I can dissolve in this, but then in seawater, it's like, I'm invincible.
Well, it's also as an alloy.
It's true.
It's not just by itself.
Yeah, the pure magnesium. Yeah, it really, basically, pure magnesium is a big wimp. I mean, not magnesium, sorry, manganese.
Oh.
See? It's so easy to...
Manganese is mad at you.
Magnesium is so much easier to say than manganese.
Manganese is hard to say.
Darn manganese. But yeah, by itself, it's really just this nothing, brittle, fall apart, not good. But you put it with something, and it's like amazing.
Essential to life because it is the catalyst of photosynthesis.
Mm-hmm. And necessary for our bones and other such things. Bones and vitamins.
You know, the more we do these podcasts, the more I realize it's like they're all kind of vital, except for the ones that are made in labs. Those
are just. I have been alive for 5 milliseconds. I'm an element. That's all that is.
The ones that are in nature, you're just
for the most part. Well, there's a reason why they're here, right? Like they've been incorporated somehow.
But you think like, oh, it's a metal. It's just like in a rock over there. And you're like, actually, no, it's not. It's in our body.
Well, that's the thing. I think we think about them in the terms that we see them in the world. So metal, you think of like a metal pipe. Like that's not important in your body. But no, you're talking about the individual atoms that have different properties and what they do. We just don't think about it that way. Poor metals.
Poor metal.
Poor metals.
Poor manganese.
Poor manganese.
Or whatever his name is.
So do you know where they find it? Where the biggest deposits are?
Oh, I do.
Mm-hmm.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I don't remember.
Oh.
Russia.
Nope.
Gabon.
Yes.
Well, it is in Russia. I think that's like fifth.
I
though.
don't know where you. No, I don't. I only
South
got
Africa.
I got Africa.
I always just guess South Africa because it's always.
This is Africa. I don't know if it's South Africa. China and Australia.
Mm-hmm.
And they basically that's where they mine it, and then they.
I think there's a field in, I want to say
Nigeria or Niger.
Niger.
Oh, okay.
That actually is where they kind of the whole the magnesium nigra.
Oh, okay.
Was kind of from
there.
And like the idea.
Oh, that makes sense.
Niger, yeah. Nigra.
Well, Niger also is black.
Yeah.
So.
I think I remember reading that.
I don't know.
It was a whole 6 hours ago. So.
I have a limit of about an hour's worth of information, and then it just goes right out.
I have a goldfish memory.
Yeah.
If I didn't write it down, it didn't
It's
exist.
not going to go. They reduce the oxide because again, it's found in oxides. They reduce it, so basically it means pulling the oxygen away. with sodium, magnesium, or aluminum, or by electrolysis of magnesium sulfate. Basically, just splitting it apart from its friends to get the manganese that you need.
Poor guy.
Yeah, and he's so brittle by himself.
That's why he's brittle. He has no friends.
Well, he has lots of friends. Just people rip him apart from him.
Well, I was gonna say bitter, not brittle. I'd be
Brittle?
brittle.
Little?
Bitter brittle.
Bitter brittle.
I think that's it. Do you have anything else? I don't have anything else.
I don't think that
I
was,
mean,
it was more interesting than I thought manganese was going to be. I mean, there's a lot of. I was particularly interested in that how varied also the symptoms are, whether it's too little or too much.
right.
Like, very wide ranging as to
Right.
what
And the
actually
too
hurts.
much, the manganese madness, it has
Right.
psychiatric symptoms of irritability, aggressiveness, and hallucinations. And yeah, I thought that was interesting. That like, here, take this for your stinky breath. Oh, also it might make you go insane. Oh my gosh.
It's fine. There's a lot of things like that back then.
That's true.
They're like, yeah, we'll do this. I'm like, okay. Oh, wait a minute. That's terrible. Sorry. Just kidding.
Oh, just wait. Just wait for our next podcast when we talk about BPA, because it wasn't so long ago that our government was
We
still...
do plenty of that. There's like, it's
Well,
fine.
when
Let's
we
put it in
talked
a thing
about-
before actually looking at it.
Did we talk about when it was lead? How like they were still painting kids' toys with lead
yeah,
in
with
like
lead. Yeah,
2007?
You can still find lead paint. Old toys that are still lead paint.
But I think when we did it was still like in the 2010s.
Oh, I think it was only recently. Yeah, or there was
That they
something
were-
in there that was only
Mattel
recently
had,
taken
like-
out. Yeah.
Whoops, that one that's lead
Just
paint.
kidding. Well, we still had. I mean, I remember there still being lead versus unleaded gasoline,
Right.
or at least the remnants of that when I was. It was only 30 years ago I was driving. Less than that.
I was gonna say
25
30
minutes?
years ago. You're not like
No, that would be 11. But not. I got to drive at 15, so it was basically 25 years ago. I'm old. I always forget that Grace is 10 years younger than I am.
I'm a baby.
Baby. Yeah, but that's pretty much all I got for manganese.
Yeah.
Pretty
So
Cool
in
transition
short,
metal.
it's a transitional metal. It is brittle by itself.
mhm.
Great alloy, strengthen things.
Super strengthened, and maybe even super magnet, depending on who it's allied with.
Hanging out with. It was used for a painting that was made 30,000 years ago.
And then glass, cleaning glass,
Yes. If you find purple glass, it's most likely
manganese.
manganese.
So next time you look at your amethyst, say thanks, manganese, for this beautiful purple color.
Because otherwise it would not have that
You know?
beautiful purple color.
It's my mom's favorite color.
Oh. Purple or
Purple.
amethyst?
Well, she likes amethyst, but purple. She's one of the purple people. You seen the purple people?
One eye, one horn, flying purple people.
Well, there's
eater.
those. But there's like, if you go online, there's like
There's people that are
purple
like,
stores. Like,
oh no.
literally, it's a thing. People who love purple, it's like a set of people. Like it's
their own
a
group.
thing. There's their own group. It's like purple people.
Wow.
And you can like go online and you can go to the whole store. So like you get a mixer that's purple. You can get like just make everything purple because. So this is one thing I found, is that people
Side tangent.
side note, but it's kind of connected because manganese makes things purple.
Okay.
I
accept.
but you everybody has favorite colors, right?
Mhm.
But there's no like cohort of people who love blue or cohort of people who love brown, right? But there is a cohort of people who love purple and they gravitate towards each other. Like it's almost like a cult
feeling
thing.
that pink is the same way.
Could be, but it doesn't have the same kind of social cultural thing. Like there's something about purple, and because people who love purple will do everything purple. Like I mean, not everybody does that, but there is like, I mean, again, you go to the purple store and can buy. I mean, I don't know what that's called, but there is
I'm gonna open a
Things
store called the Purple Store.
purple store and then not sell anything purple. Just to mess
I
with
get
people.
hate mail.
Where's my purple stuff? Yeah. So
Awful.
purple is maybe we should call them the manganese people.
Ah,
That'd be cooler.
I like
But
it.
yeah, I don't think it'll go.
No.
No. I digress. Sorry,
All
purple
right.
people. If you love purple, it's a wonderful color.
How about you email us if you love purple and you're insulted? You can email us at elementalfunpodcast@gmail.com. you can bother Cindy on her professional Instagram page, which is
Pacific Mammal Research.
or you can bother me on my personal Instagram, which is Run Mama Run 50 by 50. That's 50x50. We have yet to get an email.
Yes. We're very popular.
My mom hasn't figured out how to email. No. My dad
My mom
listens to
hasn't
this.
figured out how to listen to it. She accidentally did it once. She like clicked on a
Did you
thing.
tell
She's
me,
like,
like,
I could hear you. I don't understand
I
what's
couldn't
going on.
see you.
Yeah. I was like, oh, Mom. Okay. I love you. It's fine. I listen to the Conan podcast, and they talk about their parents and stuff like that and that kind of thing. They're like, when am I going to see you on this podcast thing, honey? They're just like, okay.
My dad's like, I listen on YouTube, but I can't listen to them in the right order. And I'm like, because like they just like pop up the next one,
instead of
or like
unless you have to
just
go to the
another
channel.
popular one
Right.
instead of going to the channel.
Right.
I'll teach them someday.
It'll be
No
fine.
worries.
All right.
Right. Well, on that note, I think we're going to head off into the purple sunset. What?
Sorry. I just realized there's a perfect way to end this from the movie Elf. If you guys know seen the movie Elf, it's great with Will Ferrell.
Yes.
Yeah. And he loves purple.
Right.
And she's like, he sees somebody, he's like, oh, I love your dress. It's really purpley. Goodbye.
I love this podcast. It's really purple.
It's very purpley. Exactly. Does it have sugar in it? Then yes.
Oh dear.
Okay.
I'm losing Cindy.
Yep.
On that note, my name is Grace.
My name is Cindy.
And hopefully you'll be listening again next time.
Sure they will.
Surely.
They love us. Stop picking the hair out of the microphone.
There's a lot of hair in this microphone.
Well, I have a
Did
dog.
you pet the dog with the
No,
microphone?
you just pet him and it goes whoosh.
I like that
into the
sound
air.
effect.
Whoosh.
I can imagine it, but seriously, there's a lot of hair on that.
It's the fuzzy.